Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on politics. We'll sit down with several elected officials and discuss issues that are important to you. My first guest was first elected to office during a special election in 2003. He's the only alderman in the history of the city of Milwaukee who has defeated 4 other aldermen in a race for office. He attended Milwaukee Hamilton and Milwaukee Riverside High Schools and has a Bachelor of Science in Human Services from Springfield College. It's my pleasure to welcome Milwaukee Common Council member Willie Wade, who represents the 7th Aldermanic District. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Alderman.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And I thank you so much for your time. First, let's start off finding out what areas actually make up the 7th District.
That's simple. I'll give you my borders. My eastern border is 20th Street. My western border is 60th Street. My southern border is Center Street, and my northern border is Villard. There's some dips in there, but basically that's the 7th District. It's the Sherman Park, Midtown area, and it's the direct center of the city of Milwaukee.
Okay, and our viewers will know that we've had a number of elected officials on, and this is not only an opportunity for them to get to know more about that particular politician, but also to hear your take on a lot of the different issues that are important in our city. So you've actually lived in your district for more than 40 years, so it's safe to say that you've got quite a connection with your district.
Yeah, I know my district like the back of my hand. Sometimes when people call my assistant, I'll say, "Oh, you live in that red and green house with the big tree." And my assistant's like, "How do you know that?" I've been walking around the district for 40 years. Wow. I know the district like the back of my hand.
Yeah, so when you are fighting for your constituents and really trying to make a difference for all of them, it really is close to home. It's where you grew up.
Well, I have my pulse on what they want and what their needs are. Granted, the district is vast, so the things that are important to the constituents on the east side of the district may be very different than the things that are important to the people on the west side of the district, and the same thing is different with the north and south boundaries. The district is huge. It's over 45,000 constituents. It's equal to the 11th largest city in the state of Wisconsin. So there are a lot of people, and there are differences in people.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have attracted more than $150 million worth of investment in your district for development since you've been in office. So I'm interested in knowing what some of those developments are.
Well, I'll talk about some of the bigger ones. The biggest one is Century City, which is the redevelopment of the old A.O. Smith Tower site. Okay. It's a $50 million city investment. But a lot of that investment was due to the remediation that was needed because some of the work that they did at A.O. Smith had a lot of contamination, a lot of underground tanks. So before we could even start with developing it, we had to remediate it and remove some of the contamination and get the land and the sand and the stuff so we can go in and start building corporations and creating jobs.
And another development that you would be proud of?
I would say the Jackie Robinson School. Okay. Jackie Robinson School has been in the district for a long time. A lot of people went there, have fond memories. Even before it was Jackie Robinson, it was Peckham. So a lot of people went from Peckham and Jackie Robinson over to Washington High School or Marshall High School. That was the feeder high school for that school. Well, the building was sitting vacant for a long time when I took office. So I was able to work out an agreement with Milwaukee Public Schools and used it as surplus property to renovate it and make it a beautiful home for senior citizens. So now it's a state-of-the-art facility with a hair salon, movie theater, conference room, library, where senior citizens who normally would have to locate somewhere outside of the city, they can stay within the city in the neighborhoods that they're comfortable with, like Sherman Park, and still have a high quality of life. So I'm very proud of that development.
That's something to be proud of for sure. And you are a member of the Zoning, Neighborhood, and Development Committee, and you're also commissioner on the board for Redevelopment Authority of the City of Milwaukee. So what does that mean?
That means I'm also on the Community and Economic Development Committee on the city, and I'm also on the Public Works Committee on the city. And what that means in essence is that you can't even build a deck at your house unless it goes across my desk at least 3 times.
Okay.
That's basically what it means. So everything from home improvement all the way to the $500 million Northwest Mutual Tower, included the new entertainment facility for the city of Milwaukee that would take the place of the Bradley Center. All of those things I would be intimately involved in. the financing of it, the development of it, the workforce issues of it, so on and so forth. So that's what that means.
All right, and we will definitely talk about this whole finance deal for the new Milwaukee Bucks arena, if it's going to happen, and your thoughts on that. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but when we talk about some of the main concerns in the city, I think that when we look at a lot of the issues, it always goes back to unemployment. So I know people at home want to know, what's the Common Council talking about when it comes to job creation? What's on your table, and do you have any plans to come up with jobs that will actually help people living in the city?
Well, the development that you talked about, Northwestern Mutual, $500 million development, the new Milwaukee entertainment facility that the Bucks will be using, another $500 million. That's just $1 billion in development. We have the streetcar project, we have the Couture, we have North End, we have all of these development opportunities that are coming to the city of Milwaukee. But what we need is the workforce to be able to do all of those simultaneously. And right now we don't have that. A lot of the skills, vocational and technical skills that the citizens need to participate in these projects is just not there. So what we're doing from the city standpoint, we're taking some of our surplus foreclosed property and we're giving those to different community-based organizations and investors, and they're training people within the neighborhood how to rehab those properties. It does a couple things. The first thing it does is it gets that property back on the tax roll.
Right.
It adds some aesthetics to the neighborhood. We don't have to tear it down and create an open lot. And the last but the most important thing it does, it gets some of those people in the neighborhood into the workforce. They can learn some skills. They can take those skills and get some certification and some credentials. Hopefully, at some point, move up to where they can work on high-rise, streetcar, and those type of activities. So that's what we're currently doing to get the citizens working.
Yeah, and when we talk about the streetcar, when it came to the conversation of job creation, then those against it said that those jobs that would be put in place to help with the construction are all temporary. So do you agree that some of these jobs would be there during the development of some of these places that you've mentioned, or do you feel like they can lead to more permanent positions?
Oh, definitely. When you start talking about work in the city of Milwaukee, especially the area that I represent, I have the blackest district percentage-wise. A lot of black male unemployment. A lot of those gentlemen are gonna be working in the labor force. They're not gonna be the president of M&I Bank because it's a whole different process to get there. So what we can do is give them training. They can work on the streetcar project, but they can take that training, that credential, and move on to the other developments, which will be going on for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So the process is to get them on track, get them a skill set, and get them started towards being the next generation of labor for the development that's going on in Milwaukee and in the general facility. And I think it's a good plan, and we're looking forward to executing it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And education is something that you're very passionate about. Many people may know, or they may not know, that you spent 19 years actually teaching at MPS as an employee of MPS, and then 15 of those years were with special education students. So needless to say, education is important.
Oh, yeah.
You've gone about throughout your time in office and creating scholarships for students.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm very proud of two scholarships that we have. One is the Fresh Coast Classic. It's a basketball tournament for high school students. But what it really is, we have the biggest college fair in the state of Wisconsin. We have over 4,500 students from MPS and around that come down to UWM. We have over 100 colleges and universities, exposing those young people to the opportunities, what they need, introducing them to people who work at colleges that can actually recruit them to get them to start thinking about post-high school education. And we give out a $5,000 scholarship every year to deserving students based on some of the writings that they submit, and then we go over it and they win. The other thing is 29th Street Alumni Association, which is a program that I started back in 1986, which will be 30 years old this year.
Wow.
I coached the kids then, but those kids come back. We do a celebrity game, and people come and buy tickets to the game, and then we give away $3,000 in scholarships for young people through that revenue source. So I'm very proud of both of those things. The 29th Street, we've given over $30,000 in scholarships, And the Fresh Coast Classic, we giving close to $25,000 in scholarships. So education has been very important, and I look forward to keep supporting efforts to get our kids exposed to post-high school education.
Yes, and before we run out of time, we've got to talk about this because it's no secret that community members and local leaders are somewhat torn over this proposal for a new Bucks Arena. Are you for or against this new arena in downtown Milwaukee?
100% in favor of it.
Okay.
And for some of the reasons that we talked about. That arena is a $500 million development in itself that will allow the residents of my district who are unemployed at this time the opportunity to actually work on the arena. It also gives them the opportunity to work at the arena once it's built. But not only that, with the land that's adjacent to the arena and the land that'll be available once we tear down the Bradley Center, that's another opportunity for over $500 million of development to occur, which the citizens in my district could participate in developing, working in, so on and so forth. So every time we have an opportunity for development, I try to look for ways that I can support it because I know that's the gateway to the citizens in my community to get back in the workforce.
Yeah, but you have a lot of people who are totally on the other side of the fence and they feel like, why should they get stuck with paying for anything, especially if they have no interest in what it's going to be used for. So what do you say to a taxpayer who is totally against this proposal to kind of get them thinking along the same lines as yourself?
Well, I'll use a simple math equation. Lambeau Field, there was a tax created for Lambeau Field. The Packers only play in Lambeau Field 12 times a year out of 365 days.
Okay.
Miller Park, there was a tax created for the development of Miller Park. The Brewers only play there 81 days out of 365 days. The Bradley Center has close to 140 events that go on, and only 41 of them are the Bucks games. We're trying to get more if we can get into the playoffs, but it's only 41 times. So really, it's an arena for entertainment for the city of Milwaukee. The circus comes there, different entertainers, comedy shows, concerts come there. The Bucks happen to be a tenant for 41 of those days. So if you're going to be a major league city, you have to have a facility like that to have major league events. And Milwaukee can't be a major league city if they don't have that type of arena. So it's important for us to keep our status and not be Wichita, Kansas or Des Moines, Iowa, that we do the things that is necessary to do to keep our world status as a major league city.
Yeah, and you look at something like a development of a new arena, then you have maybe like the NCAA tournament that will come to town, which then economically helps the hotels and parking and restaurants and all those things. So it really is something to think about.
You're the choir, all right? You're the choir,
okay.
All right? Some people understand economic development about the trickle-down effect and how it's connected. Other people only look at it as how it relates to them directly.
Right.
But as a leader, I have to look at it globally, and I have to make decisions based on the global effect of a new arena in the Milwaukee area.
All right. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for sharing all that information. Alderman Willie Wade, he represents Milwaukee's 7th Aldermanic District. To find out more about what he's doing in Milwaukee's Common Council, you can log on to milwaukee.gov or call 414-286-2221. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll talk to a newly elected official to the Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors. We'll meet Supervisor Martin Weddle right after this.